What is going on, guys? This is your dude Shop, and today we're going to talk about the Madden NFL 24 franchise mode, the deep dive blog that EA Sports put out today, and some of the things that it has in it. I'll also talk about my impressions from the Madden 24 beta, so let's get into it. Before we begin, make sure you stick that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick that notification bell so you don't miss any other videos I put out about Madden NFL 24, including videos that will help you win a free copy of Madden NFL 24. Details on that a little bit later. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. So today EA Sports put out a deep dive blog on the Madden NFL 24 franchise, including and talks about stuff including commissioner tools, training camp, trades, and more. One of the first things is training camp. They talk about now there are mini games. Now we've been asking for training camp for a while, something that the community has had high on their list, and so they've given us 11 training camp mini games that we can use at launch. Sounds like maybe they'll do more, but at launch you'll be able to choose your mini games for every position, with the exception of offensive linemen, and that will determine which players on your rosters are eligible to play. You choose from there. You choose the eligible player, and then you play these mini games. You only can play them once, and that player is only allowed to complete one mini game in training camp. So if you are using a running back, you can't use them in multiple mini games, wide receiver, sort of like that. So I like this. Again, this is something that the community has wanted, but don't take that away that there won't be weekly strategy, because in weekly strategy, once the season starts and you're able to kind of get your team right and you want to develop those young players, all 26 mini games will be available for you to focus a player on. Now, the training camp is essentially used as a modifier for that player's bonus focus XP. Everybody can participate, again, except for offensive linemen. I feel like, hey, you did a whole bunch of stuff for this target blocking. It would have been great to be able to focus on the offensive lineman. I know when I'm usually playing franchise mode, if I have a young offensive lineman, especially a center, that's one of the guys that I like developing. And so it's a little disheartening to hear that we're not going to be able to use offensive linemen in any mini games to boost their XP. So there is a dev note. It says mini games in franchise will play a little bit differently than the mini games on the front end. This is because in franchise, players will use their true ratings with a few exceptions. We've adjusted the medal threshold to account for this. So they're a little bit different. So if you go and play a mini game outside of franchise and wonder why it's different inside a franchise, well, that's it. All right, trades. This one was a big one as well. In the past, the trade logic has been terrible. We didn't have enough slots. So what they've done with this is they added additional slots. So the amount of trade slots in Madden NFL 24 has doubled from 3 to 6. In expanding these slots, they've wanted to maintain the balance between realism and the fun of stepping into a GM's shoes. And unfortunately, reality is that the vast majority of NFL trades include one and sometimes two players, but very rarely more. However, the reality is that Madden is a video game, and sometimes being ultra realistic isn't necessarily as fun. So the amount of players you can add to the trade package will remain at 3, while the maximum number of picks you will be able to offer will be all 6 slots. So that's a very important note. You can only still offer 3 players, but you can offer up to 6 draft picks. So although we have extra slots, doesn't mean you're going to be able to trade 3 more players or 6 players in total. You can only still choose 3. So being able to include up to 6 draft picks in a trade meant that they also needed to provide you with some additional capital to be able to pull off these blockbuster trades. They've added an additional year of draft picks so that you'll be able to trade for draft picks from the current year, the following year, and 2 years out. In previous versions, they were limiting, I want to say you only could do it for the next year, and that's it. the following year and the next year after that. So now you're able to do 2 years out. So that's good. But what is good with having all these options to trade if the trade logic is not there? And that's something that the community has been talking about for a while. And it seems like they have tuned that as well. I mean, we hear this all the time. Like, okay, look, we've tuned the trade logic, and people all the time say, hey, look, the trade logic is still messed up. I think, again, this is a wait and see approach, see what happens. But they did say the trade logic has been tuned. Here's what they say. There's an endless number of factors that go into how trades are offered and accepted with additional trade slots. It was vital that we made a complete Passover trade tuning hitting into Madden NFL 24. Throughout the cycle, we've uncovered a number of issues that were causing problems and inconsistencies with how players were being valued, and have made many improvements that should result in players of all types being valued more consistent. In addition, with the extra year draft picks, an additional pass on the value of draft picks needs to be done. While in the draft, we tried to replicate the infamous draft pick chart that you see and hear about coaches and GMs using so often. So for me, I think that is my thing that I'm going to see if they fix, like trading during the draft. I think that's something that some communities, some online leagues do a lot, some others don't. But I think, having it so it makes sense is a big deal. So we'll see how that pans out. Now, this next section is probably gonna be my favorite section, just because I feel like there could be a lot done to this section, and they've done a lot. But the commissioner tools and set. Now, as somebody who has commissioned the league, we all know the headaches that come with being a commissioner. And so these tools and settings are nice, but I'm going to give you some other ones after I read these that I think will be better. So depth chart reordering, there is now an on and off switch option for recording the depth chart. With this setting on, the depth chart will be reordered to accommodate new acquisitions and slot them in accordingly. With the setting off, it will be up to you to reorder your depth chart at all times and place any new acquisitions into the depth chart. To me, I don't really care about that. Users usually go through their depth chart anyways to make sure everybody's in the right place. I don't think that was a big deal, but they added it, which is nice as all. Draft class strength. Now, they've done a lot over the last couple of cycles to make sure their generated draft class is more unique and more fun. But outside of hand editing classes, there hasn't been really an easy way to customize and adjust draft classes until now. Now, under league settings, which I think is so huge, you'll be able to edit the draft class strength without even going into the draft class and having the commissioner edit draft class. You'll be able to, for each position in the draft, there will be an option to say very weak, normal, strong, and very strong. Each setting will adjust the likelihood of certain type of prospects generating. So on a very strong, there will be more top tier prospects, and a chance of seeing generational prospect is 10 times higher than it would be on normal. So on very weak, the opposite is true. Generational prospects won't even have a chance to appear. Another quick example of the difference in these settings can be make in the quality of draft classes is testing these settings. They generated 30 classes on each setting with every position set to very strong. Draft classes saw an average of nearly 10 80 plus overall prospects per draft. With every position set to very weak, there were a total of 5 80 plus overall prospects over all 30 classes, and an average overall that was over 5 points lower than a very strong classes. So again, for these settings to take effect, they will need to be set prior to the current season's draft class being generated, which takes place in the regular season week 1. So guys, you gotta remember, commissioners, remember, before week 1 is over, make sure you set your draft class strength. Offense and defensive play calling settings. One of the things that I've always, I won't say had a problem with, but there are a lot of leagues who don't like people spamming the same offense and defensive play. You know, they want people to play more simulation and have a variety to their play call. Well, now you're able to not only call offense, but also defensive cooldown. It used to be set to a universal setting that applied to both offense and defensive side of the ball. This year, commissioners will have the ability to apply these limits to offense and defense independently, which I think is great. Again, every control, even though I might not agree with it, and again, I respect everybody out there, especially commissioners who are doing their thing. But even though I don't totally agree with it, I love that this is in the game right now. I love that you'll be able to say, hey, on offense, you got to call 7 plays before you can call the same play over again, and you can only call that same play over again 3 times the whole game. Like, okay, if that's how you want to play, that's how you want to play. Like, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. If that's what y'all want to do, that's what y'all want to do. It's cool. It's cool. All right, next one is fantasy draft order. Previously, the fantasy draft could only be played in standard order, going from picks 1 to 32 each round. This year, commissioner can choose whether it's a snake draft or they can choose that or snake draft, which is reverse the order each round. So instead of going 1 to 32 and then going back to 1 to 32, you can go 1 to 32 and then 32 back to 1. It's a good addition. Again, anything that they add in these commissioner tools and settings is great. Free agent motivation impact. The impact of motivating players signing can now be adjusted or turned off. Raising the impact makes it easier to sign interested players, but more difficult to sign players with lower interest. Lowering the impact makes it easier to sign players with low interest, but reduces the effects of a player having high interest, making them more difficult to sign when they would have been. Now, here's what I'll say about it. I love, because while I think free agency is great, I think it's nice the way they have it, but to me, anybody can still get any free agent. By doing this, if a dude is not interested, then you have less of a chance of getting that guy, and you could put your efforts to another guy. That way you don't have everybody fighting over the same player. Especially there needs to be some catalyst for the lower tier guy. And if the lower tier guys who, you know, are have a bad team, but there's a good free agents that wants to come there, but they're also battling with the Super Bowl champ and somebody that makes the playoffs all the time, like, it would just be better if the free agent was like, nah, I want to go to this team right here, this smaller team, and that team gets to have an impact play. I think it's something that we have to fool around with, kind of adjust to see how it balances out, but I like the addition. All right, they have a trade difficulty. I won't get into that because that's pretty self-explanatory. You can toggle now home field advantage, progression and regression sliders. Now there's an age-based progression slider in addition to a position-based. Players progress at a rate based on average of their age and position setting. Regression sliders have been added for both age and positions, and players' rate of regression will also be based on the average of their age and position. Again, I'm fine with that. Free agency negotiations per stage. I love this. I absolutely love it. Commissioners can now set the number of free agents a team can negotiate with during each stage of free agency. Each stage can be set to 1, 3, 5, 10, or unlimited. I love this. Again, my only thing with EA, if you're watching, and probably not, but if you're watching, give commissioners the ability to lock free agent and open it up when they want. I get it. You can, I'm talking about like during the season when people are looking for players, let commissioners lock free agency whenever they want and open it whenever they want. Gives them more flexibility, because people work and people complain that, oh, the guys who are sitting at home, they get to, as soon as the week is advanced, they get to have first dibs at the free agents. No, lock it and say, hey, look, at this specific time, I'm gonna unlock. That way everybody knows. I don't know, just a suggestion. All right, draft timers. So now commissioners can do draft timers, draft generators. We kind of talked about this, but actually draft generation is a loaded term, but with a short answer, it's at the heart of every draft within the franchise mode. Each prospect prospect you see while scouting and scouring the draft board is a result of a draft generator. Last year, they added 30 new generators to break the mold and offer fresh and fun opportunities when scouting and drafting. In Madden NFL 24, they've added over 50 new generators to mix to continue last year's initiative and provide more fun, dynamic, and memorable draft experiences. Some of these prospects include generational prospects, 99 club prospects, utility prospects, injury prone prospect. Other draft class updates, they've adjusted the weight and frequency at which each archetype can generate at each position. They've tuned college selection for top tier quarterbacks to weigh bigger schools more heavily and reduce the amount of top quarterback prospects that come from mid-major and low-level schools. So I guess that means that now those top schools like, Alabama's, the Floridas, all the top name schools, those guys will have more of the top tier quarterbacks than mid. Again, with the whole draft thing, here's my take. I need them to make the draft better. The draft experience. I get scouting, it has changed and you can do more with that, but I feel like the draft experience is pretty much still the same. I would love to see more coverage, more, storylines that are brought into the draft, experience. We get all these stories, during the season about these players, but why not bring that into the draft experience itself so that when the draft is going on, there's somebody that's talking about that player. I don't know how much work it is, but that's for you guys to figure out. Not okay. Relocation. This year they wanted to revamp the way relocation is handled within franchise, making it more accessible and giving a visual refresh to the older style uniforms that have been in the game for years. Relocation is no longer limited to owners. You can also relocate while playing as a coach. The process of relocation has changed, now allowing you to select your new city, team branding, and stadium immediately after choosing to relocate. Once you select your stadium, your relocation will be completed and you will be in your new city with your new team. You'll be able to relocate again once the next season starts. They've added 15 new additional cities that you can relocate to for a total of 34 cities total. So this is great. I just felt like it was a chore last year to relocate. I felt like I didn't know when I was able to relocate. The process took a little bit. Now it seems like everybody can relocate, is easily accessible. And the fact that they've added more cities, more jerseys and stuff like that, more team logos, this is great. Now every team in your league can relocate if you want. Now the one thing I will say, and you know what, I'll save it for salary cap management. Managing the salary cap has always been a critical component of building a championship roster. This year, we bring two more pieces to the fold: contract restructuring and the 5th year option. Yo, thank you. Thank you. This is something that we've been asking for a while, being able to restructure contracts so that we can keep the core of our team has always been one of the things that the franchise community has always wanted. We also get the 5th year option on top. To me, this is a big win for the community. So contract restructuring allows a team to reduce a player's current salary, distributing that money as bonus to the remaining years, including current or of their contract. This act provides immediate salary cap relief, with the downside of having increased the value of the remaining years of the player's contract. Again, I think is great. During the season, this may be used as a necessary step towards bringing in a free agent or making the money work when trying to acquire more talent through trade. In the offseason, this can be used to extend a player on expiring deals or make high profile signings in free agency that previously wouldn't be possible due to a team's cap situation. Not all players are eligible to have their contracts restructured. A player must have multiple years remaining on their contract and be making more than the league's minimum salary. Players on rookie contracts cannot be restructured until they've completed their 3rd season in the league per NFL rule. In franchise, the process to restructure has been made simple. Eligible players will have an additional restructure option on their player card. In addition to this flow, We have also added a single button restructure option to the team's salary screen. Prior to confirming, you will be shown the effect of the restructure on the current salary cap and a future year increases so that you can make sure you are getting the relief you need to make your next big move. Again, this is great. Thank you, EA. Thank you. All right, 5th year option. I love the fact that they've added the 5th year option. I'm not going to go into depth about it. You know, it's just another way for you to kind of re-sign a player, or, you know, kind of just roster management. That's all it is roster management. Let's go ahead and talk about talent trees. And now, with coordinators in there, you have head coaches, coordinators, and player personnel now features 3 full talent trees. With these new trees come new emphasis, choice. Most trees are now set up with A and B pathing, where once selected, you will no longer be able to purchase the talents on the other side of the tree. These paths are geared towards a dynamic, which is given playstyle and other themes to make every choice clear. So I'm fine with this. I like it. They had some of this last year with the talent trees for the head coaches, where once you picked one side, you had to stay on that side until you got to a certain point, and then you could pick the other side. So this is very interesting, and I think it's a good move. This makes the choices that you make very important. Offense and defense coordinators have seen a complete overhaul with 12 new trees available to eat. The combination of these trees will create experts in different playstyles, which present a whole new approach to developing your staff to get the best out of your roster. With 2 playstyle trees and 1 single position guru tree, it is more important than ever that the coordinators you choose to lead your players align with the game plan of your team. This is, again, another win. I personally want them to put chemistry into franchise mode, like chemistry. Like, if your team has been together, let's say your offensive line has been together for long, then they have built a chemistry, and I think that should reflect in their ratings and how they play with each other. I think this should be I think it's a simple, you know, something that they can add, but we'll see. And, you know, there's also miscellaneous updates that they have: ability slots, morale tuning, scouting improvement, stuff like that. But let's talk about, now that we've gone through the deep dive, let's talk about some things that I would love for them to add. And let's start with commissioner tool. I feel like we're at a point where I really wish they would include the ability to reorder your league, or, you know, to reorder the divisions. It might be an NFL thing where the NFL won't allow it, which happens more times than not. I think a lot of people don't understand that the NFL they have to run these things by the NFL before they can put it in the game. And I think maybe they've asked the NFL, hey, can we have it so commissioners can, you know, reformat the league? And I'm pretty sure the NFL probably said no. So, okay, let's scratch that. But one of the other things that I would love for them to put in the game is the ability to, when a user goes and create a franchise, one, I don't think the customization of the coach is done pretty well. Like, we've gotten a little bit more from the beta. There's a little bit more choices as far as head-wise is concerned, and maybe the skin color. But other than that, like, I just feel like it's so mundane. I feel like it's so ordinary. The same with superstar mode. And we're not talking about superstar mode now, but the customization of players and coaches need to be better. They just need to be better. In franchise mode, there's no reason why I can't make somebody look like myself. You know, it amazes me that NBA Live years ago had a face scan feature so that you can face scan yourself into the game. And now we no longer do that. With all the face scan technology that we have, like, I don't understand why we don't have the ability to customize our coach to look just like us. Give us more options than, you know, big, fat. Give us more clothing options. Not everybody wants to dress in, you know, leisure, comfortable clothes. Maybe somebody wants to wear a suit as a coach. I don't know how many coaches wear a suit, but I'm just saying, like, allow us to have that customization. The other thing is, when you are building in creating these online leagues, allow us to lock the league so until everybody has joined. I'm tired of creating league, and once I create the league, the computer's already making moves, dropping players, picking up players. Like, that should not be the case. Allow me to invite everybody so everybody can take over the team the way it is when I start the league, and they can make the decision of dropping players, not the computer. Like, I get it, during the setup, you can put computer trading off and everything, but that doesn't stop the computer from dropping players. It doesn't stop the computer from adding players, from reordering the roster the way that they want it until somebody comes in, and now the commissioner has to sit up there and put people back on the roster because the computer dropped it. And that might be an easy feat, but still, like, it used to be like that. I kind of know why they don't do that anymore. And I think it has something to do with the analytics of commissioners actually not starting the league. So they had a whole bunch of commissioners create leagues, but then they had a little bit of people starting the league. Now, because the commissioner creates the league, it automatically starts. Now they have, oh, this many leagues have been started, and it's the same amount of leagues that have been created. I think that's the reason. One of the other things that's a big request is the ability, and something that I'm surprised that they didn't touch on this year, is the ability to wipe out a game and start it over at a certain time and at a certain point. We see in the MCF, they're able to if something happens to the game, they're able to go into the game, say, okay, it's 24-21. The ball is on the 30. This player has the ball 2nd and 5, with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Like, let us commissioners be able to not only restart the game and clear the games, which you do, but also set a particular scenario. Not all games need to be forced. Sometimes we force games because there was a connection, and then the other person or both players just don't feel like, man, I don't feel like playing the game again. Do you want the win? No, I'll take the win. No, do you want? No, you can have the win. I don't want the win, but I don't want to play all over from the beginning. We was in the third quarter. Like, let commissioners do that. All right, that's all I had. That's all I had. Let me know what you think about the new things going down in Madden NFL 24 franchise mode. Make sure you stick that like button, subscribe to the channel, and also stick that notification bell so you get notified for more videos, because you're gonna want to be notified, because there is a chance where you could win a copy of Madden NFL 24. There was a lot of stuff that we went over today in franchise mode. Let me know what your favorite was in the comment section below. This your dude Shop signing off. I'll see you guys later. I'm out. Peace.